technical reasons that we would use Minecraft, but maybe just for today to focus on the fact that it's a democratizing platform. We see that because it's so easy to use, people who have no digital skills or people from different backgrounds, they can basically play Minecraft for about an hour and build a basic 3D model. And so when people like you and Habitat usually run consultation processes, the louder voices in the room tend to dominate, and these tend to be male voices of a certain age. And so on the other end of the spectrum, you have sort of young women and girls who attend, and if it's purely a speaking kind of environment or a speaking consultation, those voices are largely excluded. But by kind of stepping back and actually using this platform, everyone has the equal opportunity to kind of share it, because you're showing people what you want. You're not necessarily having to speak about it. And so this kind of reverses the traditional sort of power dynamics and hierarchies we'd see in these processes. We've got many sort of interesting case studies too. I think that stand out for me on the topic of gender would be a project we did with teenage girls in Hanoi, Vietnam. We worked with a bunch of schools in the Kim Chung district where girls felt incredibly unsafe walking to school. There were very sort of dark, unlit areas. And so they were able to kind of use Minecraft to show which areas of their walk to school were unsafe or made them feel threatened. They could then add lights to them in the game, and then we, with the local township, sort of adapted that area and improved its safety so that they felt safe. Another project that is sadly now destroyed, actually, but a project we did in the Gaza Strip in Palestine, which again is an area that a lot of the women there feel like their urban environment has not been designed for them, or has not even been designed with them in mind or being considered. And so we gave women from the Gaza Strip the opportunity to design their own public space, their own gardens, according to what makes them feel comfortable. On the left is what the site was like before. On the right is after the project. Sadly, the project has now been destroyed, but hopefully it's something we can return to in the future once the region is a bit more stable. I think two themes that kind of emerge from these projects: the importance of a sense of ownership. If you give young people, women and girls, a say or a part in the process of developing these spaces, they're so much more likely to be proud of these spaces, to be part of the life of that public space going forward. They really become sort of leaders in their community and also engage with other kind of civic processes. So that sense of ownership is absolutely crucial. The other thing I meant to say on this project is Minecraft is a mediator. So working in more challenging sort of contexts where it could be socioeconomic divides or religious divides, again, Minecraft, I think partly because it's a game, it's fun, it's playful, it removes a lot of the tension from these kinds of environments, and it can really become a common language that kind of brings everyone in the room together. Another project that we were involved in, and we did this for Reporters Without Borders, this was a project to address the issue of press censorship, and particularly how do we tackle that with young people. So millions of young people around the world are growing up without access to free press. We devised a project that could actually educate young people and inform young people about press freedom, but also bypass or find a loophole for press censorship in certain countries. And the solution to this was to create a huge virtual library inside Minecraft that's filled with illegal censored journalism. So if, let's say, I'm a young person in Saudi Arabia, there's no way that I can read the writings of Jamal Khashoggi. There's no way I can find it on Google. It's completely banned. But I can play Minecraft. And so as a young gamer in Saudi Arabia, I could enter the library in Minecraft, and then I could find Jamal Khashoggi's writing in there. So it's sort of like a Trojan horse for press censorship, if that made sense. I have a quick video which kind of talks a little bit more about the project, and so hopefully this works. So this is the project. This is currently what the library looks like. I am happy to say in a few months we'll be, not happy to say, it's sad to say that we'll be adding to the library with a new wing dedicated to the US. which will actually go opposite the Saudi Arabian room. So gives you some idea of the situation. And this space will actually contain many articles that have been removed by President Trump from US government sources, including a large amount of articles on gender-affirming care. So these are articles and policy papers which look at the rights of transgender people to medical care and treatment. Those have now been erased from any sort of US government sources that we'll bring them to the library. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of how the library works. We have dedicated wings which have kind of a sculpture or art piece which speak to some of the censorship issues in those regions. So the giant sort of cage in Saudi Arabia, which represents the threat of imprisonment, or the maze in Vietnam, which kind of represents how difficult it is to navigate and find the truth on certain political issues. I think part of this project's success, I suppose, was leveraging social media as well, and kind of the global awareness of Minecraft, and then putting that together with quite an unusual topic. Minecraft is essentially a game mostly for children. I mean, adults play it as well, but it's a game that young children enjoy and play. It's not the kind of environment you'd expect to find a project on a heavy topic, but I think that's why it's so successful. It's sort of slightly incongruous and unexpected in a certain way. I think also the fact that Minecraft has this huge online community. So the library you can visit on your own, but the library is a multiplayer environment. So I can go in there and there might be 10 other people exploring it at the same time. And the kinds of conversations and interactions those different users have between each other makes the library, not just a library, but an interesting space for kind of debate and dialogue. There are obviously risks to that. We've heard earlier today about the importance of moderating online discussions. What we did find is we were able to kind of support the moderation of the library for the first 6 months. We noticed at the end of 6 months that the same users, about 5 users, have been logging in every single day since the library started, answering our questions for us. And so 5 years on, the library is now maintained by a group of volunteers who care about it, who understand it. So I think leveraging a power of the community and gamers to kind of take these messages forward is really important and really valuable. In terms of the impact the library had, this is quite old now, but it's been visited, I think, over 2.5 million times. Every single day for the last 5 years, 4,500 articles have been read in the library every single day. So from Reporters Without Borders' point of view, this is by far the most impactful campaign they've had in their organization's history. And I think it just shows the scale of gaming platforms means we should really pay attention and start thinking about how we can use them to address some of these issues. That's all I had, but happy to take in questions, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, James. Yeah, here, Latasha has a question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't realize that Minecraft was so rich. I'm not really familiar with that video game because I don't play any kind of game. I have quite a sad life. So I wanted to ask you, are there people from bigoted experiences of life that use the same strategies as you to spread there are messages of hate and ignorance. So I feel like there's power and counterpart of a power in any kind of spaces everywhere.
Absolutely, that's a good question. I would say in the video games industry as a whole, yes, there are absolutely people who are producing and developing games which demonstrate bigoted views or reinforce stereotypes. Minecraft is different, and it's owned by Microsoft. They're one of the strictest games in terms of content moderation, and to a certain extent, you can sort of create whatever you want in Minecraft, but when you want to share that with the wider world, that usually has to be kind of approved or reviewed by Microsoft. And so that means that the game as a whole is a fairly safe space, which is why we chose it for the library. But you're right, there is a bigger issue around, I'd say of all the kind of the media, gaming is sort of on par with social media in terms of how dangerous and damaging it can be. Yeah, it's a difficult issue, but I think the solution has to come partly from the community. We have to kind of fight back and have people on the other side of the fence. I think the community has to pressure governments and sort of national policies on this, and they in turn have to pressure the game developers themselves. So it's all three of those actors who kind of play a role in, counterbalancing that.
Merci. I was wondering, is there any countries that managed to block the access to Minecraft or other games?
Yeah, there are certainly certain games banned in certain countries. China doesn't allow Minecraft. It created its own version of Minecraft. After we published the library, Russia banned Minecraft, but that was actually to do with Microsoft sanctions in Ukraine. However, we can still see that we have thousands of Russians accessing the library kind of through VPNs and other means. I think part of the choice of Minecraft is our project is sort of entangled in quite a successful corporate ecosystem. So for a government to say we don't like that one project, so we're banning the whole game, would be a very extreme measure, and we kind of take safety in that. We kind of shelter in Microsoft's umbrella. But yeah, that's a really great question.
Thank you very much, James. It was a great pleasure to welcome you and discover your very inspiring work. A big round of applause for James Delaney. Thank you.